From deep-sea mysteries that were thought to be myths, to a collection of animals that are on the brink of extinction, here's our group of the world's rarest animals that still exist on our planet. But before we get to the video, we'd like to take a minute, as we always do, to recognize one of our favorite comments. We couldn't make these videos without everyone out there watching, and we'd love to hear from you. With that in mind, we'd like to shout out Nathaniel Miller for his encouraging comment on our biggest invertebrates on land video. We're glad you enjoyed and hope you keep on watching and learning, and we'll be sure to keep up the good work. Javan rhino. There's only one known group of Javan rhinos, a species teetering on the brink of extinction known to exist in the wild. At last check, they numbered somewhere around 60 and were reduced to the Ujung Kulon National Park on the western tip of Java, which is in Indonesia. It's crazy to think that at one time, they could be found throughout Southeast Asia, even into India and China. But that was a long time ago. Today, researchers don't want to disturb such a rare animal, meaning that the Javan rhino is rarely studied in the wild and is actually, despite its critically endangered status, the single least studied rhino species. Its main problem is the same as most rhinos. Their horns are prized by humans and have been for thousands of years. Metallic tarantula. Ever seen a blue spider before? Well, now you have, and it's all thanks to Epic Wildlife. Hey, you're welcome. For those of you saying it's a good thing that the metallic tarantula is critically endangered, shame on you. We know it's a scary looking spider, but you should never wish for the extinction of an entire species. And besides, they're blue and amazing looking, from a distance of course. They can only be found in the wild, in a 40 square mile patch of a deciduous reserve forest located in central southern India. If you're anything like us, you've never heard of this spider before. But did you know that their venom is very potent, but not thought to be deadly? Its unique color has led to the metallic tarantula being bred in captivity for at least the last decade. The people that breed them are well aware of the fact that the metallic, even amongst its tarantula brethren, is a fast, aggressive species with a particularly painful bite. The Montauk Monster. When this mysterious animal carcass washed ashore near Montauk, a business district in New York in July of 2008, media conglomerates and the general public ran wild with intrigue and speculation. Widely distributed photos like this one showed a creature that simply couldn't be identified. What also added to the intrigue was that the carcass was nowhere to be found, so it can never be identified conclusively. Though just a few photographs and eyewitness accounts are all that survived of the Montauk Monster, it has become a legendary creature whose true identity is a mystery. Consequently, it's appeared on plenty of TV shows like Ancient Aliens and Conspiracy Theory, though most seem to agree that the remains likely belonged to a raccoon who had decomposed into that odd appearance. What do you guys think about the Montauk Monster? Is it just a decomposed creature like a rodent, a turtle, or a raccoon, or could it be a secret government experiment or an extraterrestrial? We think it was probably a raccoon, but give us your thoughts in the comments section. Northern hairy-nosed wombat. When they were thriving, the northern hairy-nosed wombat boasted a range that extended from New South Wales and Victoria all the way to Queensland. Now, as you can see on this map of their current range, things have gotten pretty tight. 2003 was a bleak year for this creature, and things looked dire. Their total population was thought to number just 113, only 30 of which were females capable of breeding. Luckily, they've recovered in the decade and a half since thanks to various conservation projects. Just 2 years ago, in 2015, their numbers had more than doubled to 230. Monk sloth. Found exclusively on a tiny island off the coast of Panama, the monk sloth, or pygmy three-toed sloth, is only found in a 1.7 square mile patch of red mangroves. The most recent data available, a 2012 census, suggested that only 79 monk sloths remain. It's true that their extremely restricted range means that they've always had a small population, but that number, below 80, was much lower than estimates made before the census. For sloths, these creatures are tiny, measuring just less than 2 feet in length and no more than 8 pounds in total mass. Angel shark. A fish processor working on the coast of Santa Barbara developed a market for this fish in the late 70s, meaning that the angel shark has that one guy to hate for seriously reducing their numbers down to critically endangered status by 2010. At one time, they were considered an abundant species throughout their ocean habitat. And yes, they are sharks. They just look a lot like rays. They hunt in a very sneaky way. They bury themselves on the bottom of the sea, waiting for unsuspecting prey to wander nearby before suddenly striking from out of nowhere. Plowshare tortoise. Endemic and only found in Madagascar, this tortoise has been reduced to the northwestern part of the island nation. Their steadily decreasing population is down to the hundreds, and they are at an extremely high risk of going extinct. Experts surmise that they could be gone within the next 20 years, and likely even sooner than that. Fires utilized in the clearing of land is thought to be a principal threat to the species, as well as their collection for the pet trade. They're heavily sought after for their beautiful shell. So, conservationists have started to mark the shells, protecting the creatures by blemishing their most attractive feature, thus making them less lucrative. What a shame it is the lengths we have to go to protect creatures that we should be embracing. Northern bald ibis. The northern bald ibis, despite its ability to fly, sits teetering on the edge of existence and the brink of total extinction. Their population had been dwindling steadily due to natural events. However, their numbers seemed to crash when pesticides like DDT were introduced and came into widespread use around the world decades ago. The northern bald ibis was once widespread, with fossils found across the Middle East, northern Africa, and Europe, dating back from as far back as 1.8 million years ago. Today, however, there are just hundreds in southern Morocco and a small population in Syria, where they were rediscovered in 2002. Hairless Sun Bear. Talking about this viral photo, which is good for clicks, is uncomfortable. We don't like to think about this creature suffering with serious diseases while people were marveling at its unique appearance in a lighthearted way and comparing it to Gollum. The creature you see was a sun bear who was captured in January of 2015 by plantation workers. Unlike most sun bears, she happened to be hairless, causing her unique, rare appearance. She seemed very old and was suffering from several parasites. Many of the poor creature's claws were cracked and broken. That picture is a still shot from a video of the bear, likely scared out of its mind, trying to escape the metal cage in which it was being held by biting through it, while being surrounded by people taking pictures and, of course, the video I'm referring to. It's very hard to watch. Though authorities and veterinarians did their best to bring the creature back to good standing health, she would end up passing away months later in early June 2015. Though constantly surrounded by them, she was never fully comfortable around humans. Sun bears live in the tropical forests of Southeast Asia. The palm oil industry has invaded and stripped this bear of their habitat, and today it's a vulnerable species. Hainan gibbon. The Hainan gibbon is an extremely rare animal, perhaps the world's single rarest. The most recent count found just 2 families and a total of 22 Hainan gibbons in the wild. The most recent count found just 2 families and a total of 22 Hainan gibbons in the wild. They are confined to Hainan, a small island off the southern coast of mainland China. Males and females are extremely different in appearance. As you can see, males are almost completely black, with white patches on their cheeks, while females are golden in color with black spots. They're both slender, which makes sense as they swing in the wild from tree to tree to get around. Roloway Monkey. Out of all the primates in Africa, the Roloway monkey is among the most threatened. Despite the fact that they're small, harmless, and have awesome, long beards, they're often hunted and sold in the bushmeat trade. Also, like so many creatures in the wild, their habitat is disappearing as humans clear forests to make room for themselves. When studied in the wild, researchers have found that they have a lifespan of 20 years. In captivity, however, they can live to the ripe old age of 30. Northern white rhino. One of just 2 white rhino subspecies, the northern white rhino appears to have gone extinct in the wild. The last time they were spotted in the wild was in 2006, when 4 were seen. Experts have since reported no trace of them. Meanwhile, only 3 exist in captivity. This 44-year-old male named Sudan, who was caught in the wild when he was just 3, and 2 females who were both born in captivity. They're all held at a 180-acre facility in the Czech Republic. Before we get to our last rare creature, we'd like to thank everyone out there for watching and giving feedback. Let us know how we're doing, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Florida Panther. There were once more panthers playing hockey in Florida than there were roaming the wild. The Florida Panther was chosen as the state animal in 1982, and that decision was probably made to raise awareness about just how rare they were at the time. In the 70s, estimates had their numbers down to just 20 in the wild. Luckily though, conservation efforts reversed this trend, giving this animal a second chance at life in the process. Estimates made earlier this year had their population at 230, which means there's still work to be done, but it's a great start. Human encroachment started the Florida Panther's decline. They were pushed to a corner of South Florida. This isolated population eventually began inbreeding, which, as we know from ancient Egyptian royal families, can cause all sorts of health problems.